This game's not won on social media. This game's not won on telephones. This game is won with shoulder pads, helmets, mouth guards, and sweat. That's how the game is won.
Welcome to the Bill Neese's Coaches Show, Episode 4, Week 6. Indians coming off of a 49-8 win over West Carrollton, where they won handedly. Coach, we could talk about that game a lot, and there's a lot of things that we can discuss. But one of the things we had talked about last week in the show, we were looking at coming out and not just competing, but really trying to get ourselves back on track. We walked out and we drove back the buses on Friday night from West Carrollton. Mission accomplished.
I think it was. I think we went out and played a very good football game. One of the things we covered in our team meeting with the players was I said we need to see more things on film that we are coaching. In other words, we want to see some more fundamentals, some mistake-free football, things along those lines. And I thought we saw a lot of that Friday night. We put together a film of about probably 15, 17 things that obviously, a lineman did this or somebody did this that really showed that people are learning to think for themselves, communicating with the guy next to them, and being able to do things. So we're pleased about what, our performance Friday night. I think the one negative that came out of it is up to this point we'd only turned the ball over twice the whole season, and we had a turnover, which is uncharacteristic for our offense. But we're still in a very good plus category with only 3 turnovers from the course of the game for our offense. So we'll continue to move forward.
Coach, when you look at that box score and you look at the breakdown, in particular the quarter, it's 7-0 at the end of the first quarter. And one of the things you had mentioned to me on a couple different occasions, while this team may have a record of 0-4, you knew going in, they had some dudes, they had some guys, and you had even said, hey, I'd love to bring some of those guys back on our bus because, we could put together a team and really be a wreck-it. They had some guys that can play.
Yeah.
And, their line, they had some, and they looked the part. And we just didn't go over there and start rolling them. We had our hands full. The second quarter, it opened up a little bit, certainly, but not right away. No,
it's true. And I think also they have some really good coaching. I thought their coaching staff did a nice job of, we played a little bit different defense, and their coaches went after some of the spots that we had kind of considered to be, somewhere where people are going to go. So they did all the right things, and they had the right, the right type of fundamentals. I think once they put it all together, and that was a good learning aspect, a good coaching point for our people, because I said, there's a lot of times where you can have great players, you can have this and this, but if we're not playing together, if you're not, doing everything like you're supposed to do, it's really hard to be successful, and I think that proved that point Friday night.
Well, one of the things that we were able to do is mix some things up with our run and our pass offensively. Debo continues to show his prowess on the field, but also our passing game opened up, and we saw some great plays by our quarterback and receivers, and allowed us in the second half. I'm sure you were probably mixing some lineups up and some different things, and just trying some different. Just want to see where we had some different options because, as we'll talk about, the next few weeks are important. So we use that second half as some opportunity to, I guess, not just as a practice, but just to see what we can do and what are some options that we might look at down the road.
We took a couple more chances in the second half than we normally would in terms of maybe some personnel, maybe some play calling, a little bit, maybe some things on defense, some special teams, and we wanted to see how we would react. And a lot of times you like to get that on film too. So there's some people that want to keep things in the bag bag and use them as a surprise type move. There's other people that like to get them all out there and give people more things to work on as they go through. I think we're kind of a mixture of the two. So we got a little bit of that going on in the second half.
Well, Indians, again, get the win, finished the first half of the 2025 football campaign with a win, 49-8. Second half of the season starts on Friday night. A big one with Xenia coming to town. Xenia, a very good football team at 4-1. I know they're. It's been a great series between Piqua and Xenia.
Yeah, it is.
And I wouldn't expect no different.
No, and they're an excellent program. They do some decent amount of things that are similar to us, and I think that's the way it is in our league a little bit. Everybody's got their own little flavor maybe on offense, whether or not you're a rollout team, whether or not you're an RPO team, whether or not you're an inside zone, down kick, power team, whatever it is. And they have their system, they have their niche, and they do it very well, both on offense, on defense. Special teams, I would describe their special teams very similar to us in terms of their sound. They don't hurt themselves. They get the best field position they can and then move on, but they're not overly extravagant in what they're doing and taking a lot of risks. So it's just an excellent football team, and it's going to be a great challenge for us.
Yeah, one of the things that's interesting about them, they've got a hodgepodge, a little bit of us. They've got some youth, but they've also got some key returners. One of those key returners is a running back, but they've got a new quarterback who they had a quarterback in there was a 4-year starter, and so they've got a new quarterback. They've also had some other new positions, I think, defensively in the secondary. So when you look at their team and our team, there's a lot of similarities. What do you expect? I know what you expect, but what does the Indian Nation expect? Can they expect to see what Xenia will run on Friday night?
Well, the big thing about Xenia is, in what you'll see Friday night, is you're going to see two excellent running backs. You're going to see a running back that was the player of the year last year in the league, and then you're going to see our running back, and both of those guys are averaging about 150 yards a game. And Debo is in the top 4 rushers in the league, and he's only been a running back for 3 games. Yep. And so I think you're going to see that type of running game. Each team has a little different aspect of the running game. I think you're going to see some great receivers on both sides. I think they've got an excellent receiver, and their main receiver, and then they've got 2 or 3 other guys that are really good, at catching the ball and getting out in the open field. I think our receiving core is making strides every week. I think those guys are doing an excellent job in terms of their improvement. And you got two pretty senior-laden offensive lines that are big older guys. Those guys get to be 18 years old. They've been in the weight room for 4 years. Just like our guys been in the weight room for 4 years. So they're pretty much men at this point. Rather than high school football players. So
yeah, they're a big weight room program, just like we are. Mm-hmm. Well coached. I know we'll see some physicality. Talk a little bit about their defense.
Well, defensively, they do a little bit different, run a little different than us. We share some stuff, but they're going to be more of a 5-man front. They have 2 guys that are in the middle that are all-league players, that have been all-league players, and I think that's really the cornerstone. And if you're going to talk about senior defense, you're always talking about the inside linebackers. They've had a bevy of inside linebackers over the course of the years. These last 4 years that have been all-league foremen, they're always the leading tacklers right there. So I think that's where a little bit changes, but they're always strong up front on defense.
Indians, again, will kick off on Friday against Xenia in the first of a 2-game homestand when Xenia comes to town on Friday night. Coach, one more thing before we get into talking about our senior features, and I'll kind of lead this. You talked a little about Debo, but we also have had some receivers that have really, in the last week in particular, you can see our passing game, we're really trying to get involved. Mm-hmm. Some guys are making some plays, and you can see the maturing process as the seasons come on. This game on Friday night gives those guys that opportunity to continue to shine. Definitely,
and Chris has become a leader even as a sophomore. I mean, he's become a leader. He knows, very smart. He knows where everybody's supposed to be, and he directs traffic very well. And those receivers receivers are, they're just out there running, getting open, and I'm impressed by the fact that they're willing. And in some years it's been a little hard, but these guys are willing to go out there and do what they're supposed to do when it comes time to run the football, and when it comes time for someone else to catch one of the bubble screens.
Sure.
And we've had a lot of times where bubble screens are open, and it's very frustrating that you got everybody blocking, and then one guy just doesn't give a great effort and block. And I think those guys are doing that for each other. I think they're really buying into that whole concept.
Well, you talk about the maturation. I hate to use that a lot, but overuse it. But certainly in this case with Chris as our quarterback, you can see he is getting more comfortable, and his confidence is growing. And that's big for when you're a quarterback.
Definitely. And it's a good mix. Our H-back is a freshman, our quarterback's a sophomore, but then almost all of our receivers are seniors. So, and almost all of our offensive line and our running back is a receiver. So it's kind of a unique mix we have on offense.
Coach, let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned Debo, and then there's Cohen Brown. Cohen Brown, a receiver of ours, and then of course you mentioned Debo. Debo is just, as you said, he's just kind of emerged, was in the last 3 games. He's been a guy that looks an unassuming part as his size, and he do not judge a book by its cover. When you look at him, and boy is he quick, and boy he has made a difference in the backfield, and teams have had a hard time catching up to him.
They do, and he's a great motivator for the offensive line, great motivator for the team himself. He's a very positive thinking guy. He's been a receiver. He's been a receiver for the last 2 years, and in the world of receivers, you're never getting the ball enough. If you drop a ball, you immediately want another ball thrown to you. That type of stuff. And I think he really fits better at the running back mode, in the fact that he carries the ball. He carries the ball every day at practice, maybe 25 to 40 times, depending on what drill we're doing. And then he on his off part, on the off days when we're doing defense or when he's down at our end of it, he's running scout team for us, and which is how he got discovered to begin with. Mm-hmm. So he always comes back, and when it's card time, and we've had some running backs that maybe don't think they need to be running scout team cards, and he's the first one down there all the time. Today he played receiver quite a bit because he wanted to work on his hands. And he's just that kind of guy. He's a very intentional guy on what he wants to do on a daily basis to get better. And his weight room ethic is just beyond fantastic. And I can't say enough about him.
Another example of someone that put their time in and their dues in certain circumstances, and he is now getting the fruits of his labor.
He is, and he's worked through the mental process of it too. He's worked through that part. Of what it takes to be on a team, what it takes to do this, what it takes to do this. So starting last year, toward the end last year, all winter this year. I mean, he's been telling me, we've been talking, and in the weight room and stuff like that, and it's just been a great turnaround.
Well, speaking of team, another guy you love having on your team has been Cohen Brown. He's been a good receiver for us, just an overall good leader, a guy that you can count on, whether it's short, long pass, bubbles, whatever the case may be, blocking. He's a guy that in the locker room and on the field, very dependable.
He definitely is. Also on special teams. And I might add that Debo's on our punt team, and Cohen's on our kickoff team, and Cohen's our backup snapper. So these guys are versatile. Debo's also, a big track star, and Cohen is, basically his number one sport is baseball. He's going to go to college to play baseball, as when you talk to him, you'll find that out. But he does a great job. He understands that every baseball player that's been at the top has played other sports.
Yeah.
And I think those two guys both exemplify the whole concept of being multi-sport guys and being able to get the time in the weight room, and then also prioritize what they need to do with their sport and the other sports.
Yeah, it's interesting you talk about their spring sports, and you might even argue, and I'll be interested in asking them, in particular Cohen. Cohen's he'll be a 4-year starter for baseball at the pitching position, which I don't know if there's any more of a position where you're alone than a pitcher, but he has pitched some big games where he has beaten some top teams in the state. I've got to believe, and I'm be interested in asking him, that has got to prepare him for big games like on Friday night with Xenia.
Oh, definitely. And he did a great job of this summer working around, letting us know when he's got to be here, and not just, okay, hey, this is the priority, you guys are the back there. There's sometimes where he did not go here because he had to come with us, and back and forth. And I can't say enough about his organizational skills and how he's handled himself. Again, he's another one of those guys that he's smart enough to get in that weight room and get bigger. I mean, that weight room
to his advantage.
Yeah, that weight room has matured him physically, quite a bit over the last course of his last 2 years.
Yeah, Coach, we're wishing you all the best as you get into a big game with Xenia on Friday night.
Thank you.
And again, the game here is at Alexander Stadium. Kickoff at 7 p.m. First of a 2-game homestand. We're going to come back. We're going to talk to Cohen and we're going to talk to Debo. Talk to them a little about their 2 sports and what, as we get into the second half of the season, what that's going to look like for them. We'll be right back. Welcome to part 2 of the Bill Knisley Show, brought to you by Dick Lumpkin's Auto Body. All right, guys, you're going to introduce your names and the positions you play.
All right, I'm Debo Knisley, and I play running back.
Cohen Brown, play receiver.
Cohen, I want to start with you a little bit. We're halfway through the season. Hard to believe we are emerging into week 6. It just feels like we were scrimmaging St. Mary's here for the first time, and that just seems like eons ago. The team is in a position where we're coming off a win and getting ready to go into the second half of the season. Talk a little bit about what some of the thoughts you have as you get ready for part 2, if you will, of the season.
Well, part 2 of the season is more of a grind for us. We're trying to make the playoffs. We're looking for the next win, looking for the next team. Always trying to push ourselves more and more and more to that next goal.
Sure. Debo?
Yeah, like he said, just week in, week out, just focus on the week that we're working towards, trying to get the win this week, and the next week get that win, and then from there on, and then we just try to win out, try to get to the playoffs, and then work from there.
Yeah, I think Coach talks a lot about, it's such a long season. It's week to week.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to look down the road, if we do this happens and that happens, because nothing else matters right now but Xenia.
Right.
Yeah.
And that game is important for a lot of reasons, and that's been a good series through the years between Piqua and Xenia, and I expect this one to be no different.
Right.
Gentlemen, as we get ready, as we talk about Piqua football for you guys, what has Piqua football meant to you personally, and what's it like to be a part of that program? Debo?
For me, Piqua football is like everything. I grew up always wanting to play Piqua football, so me finally being able to be that varsity guy, finally playing, means literally the world to me. It's just playing football here at Piqua is different. It's just because I played in a different atmosphere. I played in Michigan before, and I feel like playing here at Piqua at this stadium is way different, way more energy here. The players here want it more. It's just, Piqua here is just different than anywhere I've been.
Good. Cohen?
I'd say playing Piqua football has to be one of the greatest feelings, because when you're a little kid, you always look up to those senior players, varsity players, saying, I want to be them one day. And that you're here like, oh, this is me. Like, I'm doing what I've always wanted to do. Now I got to show off for little kids, make them want to play this sport.
Right.
Yeah, both of you guys are very engaging. You're very good with working with others. Cohen, as a receiver, you've had an opportunity to be a part of some big catches on a Friday night. It has a different feel.
It does.
Playing on a Friday night versus any other sport that you might play. And we'll talk about those other sports here in a little bit. But Friday night has a special feel in Piqua. You guys kind of talked about that. But I've got to believe being in a receiving position where you have the opportunity to catch some balls, make some big plays, maybe some scores, something for you to really kind of look forward to as you go through the week and the grind that you talked about.
Yeah.
Debo, for you, you've really had some really big games here the last couple weeks. Really didn't start with the running back position at the beginning. They kind of slipped that in there. And I think starting with Greenville week 2, and it has been it's kind of been you kind of do your little thing there, right?
Yeah, just use my speed and my vision, to get through these blockers. It's a lot easier for me just because I'm real small to, even sometimes even make my own creases and holes, even if it's like not exactly fully open, I can still just make it through there. But with my speed and my, like I said, vision, I feel like it's the perfect spot for me to be at right about now.
Good. Well, guys, I didn't mention other sports that you guys are involved with. Debo, you're also a sprinter on the track team. Cohen, you're a pitcher for our baseball team. So you guys are busy in the spring, not on the same teams at that point. But let's talk a little bit about just maybe what track is for you. I think track, one might argue maybe is your favorite sport, and maybe up until this year, maybe that's changed a little bit. But you were a top sprinter last year, going all season. Right. So talk a little bit about track and what that's been for you as far as football.
Right. So track for me is kind of like really, it was kind of the thing that started off as backing up football. It was like you do track to get faster for football, and then it was like, all right, I'm actually pretty good at track. So I started taking track serious, and track for me is just like go out there, have fun, get to run as fast as you can, and for not that long, but to get to see how fast you really are, and then you continue to work and compete with other people. It's just it's a fun thing to do out there, and it's something I also really enjoy too. That's up there with football.
Yeah, you emerge yourself as certainly one of the best in the MVL in as far as a sprinter, and I'm sure that's been fun for you to be a part of. Cohen, on your end, you're a pitcher, so. You're the guy that's on the mound. That can be it's a great spot. It's also a lonely spot.
It is.
In the good and the bad, but baseball is a different feel than track. It's got a little bit more of a team feel. Track has a team feel, but it's a different type of a team feel. You can be on the mound when it's you got a 3-2 count and the 7th inning when you need to get the out to knock it out and close it. How has baseball been helpful for you? Individually, but maybe even also how that might help you on Friday nights for football.
I would say that helps me a lot because during baseball and pitching, you get to understand that you have a guy backing you up behind you. So if you make a mistake, they're going to help you out towards the way on the next pitch, next at bat, whatever you got to do. So it's mainly like hey, I know guys that got my back. I don't have to worry about push stress on myself. I can always say, hey, what can I work on with this guy, or what can I work on this guy? We can always get working together, and it's been one of the greatest things ever.
You have had, like Debo, have had a lot of success in baseball. Been playing since your freshman year of varsity.
Yes, sir.
And going to be getting your 4th letter in baseball, and one of the leaders, not amongst your team, just at your team, but also the league.
Yes, sir.
And that's got to make you feel good that you get a chance to be a part of that. But I got to believe, and maybe you can give an example of, hey, you've been in some big games. Mm-hmm. You've been in games where you've beaten some of the top teams in the state of Ohio. And you've been on the mound where that's happened. That's got to help you when you're getting in big games like Friday night. You're going against Xenia, and what is a big contest in the league. Being in that situation has had to have helped.
It does.
Talk a little bit about that, how that helps.
So just like the pressure of feeling on you, like when you're pitching, you got everyone looking at you. Everyone's making sure that, if I don't throw the right pitch, what's going to happen? You also have to be locked in mentally and physically. You can't be getting let's say if you throw 4 straight balls, you can't get overwhelmed yourself. You have to stay locked in, stay focused, and throw the ball like you can.
For both of you, I hear a lot of mental toughness, things that you got to kind of battle through with your head, and you got good coaches and good teammates in all those sports that you have, and you need their support. But you also know that you're in a situation where you've got to finish things out on your own, right?
Mental part. Yeah, like both our sports, we've probably played those. I don't know how long Cohen's played baseball or whatnot, but I assume he's played it, most of his life. Same thing for track and football. Those are things I've played all my life. So it's just like physical part is something you can deal with. You know how to do it. The mental part is something you got to learn. You still got to work with. You still got to overcome. It always, every game it might hit you different. So you just never know. Well,
I know that's in your sports currently, and then in the spring. I know those are all things that you guys take a great deal of pride of. And I would be remiss if I didn't bring up after spring, you'll be graduating. And actually, right at the end, it's hard to believe. I say this every week, you'll be wearing a different uniform here at Alexander Stadium. You'll wear a cap and gown where you'll be graduating, walking across the stage, getting that diploma. What is next for both of you? Debo, I want to start with you. And what does things look like for you once you get that diploma from Piqua High School?
All right, so for me, most people might think I want to go to college. Honestly, it's college is not something I'm big into. I'm more of I love sports, and I'm in school, kind of do my sports and just get by. So honestly, I'm gonna probably end up going into some trade. Do something I really enjoy, work-wise. Try to get some money, be really successful right out of high school.
Hey, you and I had this conversation a few weeks ago, just one-on-one, and you had shared with me, hey, you had some opportunities, maybe college-wise, but you wanted to get into the workforce because you really feel like you have an opportunity to build a career and build for yourself.
Right. Yeah. Start that as soon as possible.
Good for you. Cohen, what's post high school look like for you, Cohen Brown?
Post high school for me would be going to a 4-year college, playing baseball. I now thankfully have 2 offers to play Division III baseball, Muskingum and Otterbein. Hopefully I can narrow those 2 schools down. After that, I would go into their either their pre-exercise science or their PT programs.
Well, that league, the OAC, which both of those teams are in, is an outstanding league and has an outstanding reputation for baseball. And both there's several teams in the league in the last few years that have made runs to the Final Four and national titles. So I know you're going into a very competitive league, and we wish you both all the best as you for those decisions. But first is first. Let's circle back. Friday night, Xenia, big one for you guys and our team. And we wish you all the best Friday night and as you move forward the rest of the season.
I appreciate that.
This will wrap up the Bill Nice's Coaches Show. Just remember, the game will be back here at Alexander Stadium. You can catch it on demand at the YouTube channel for Indian Nation Station. You can get it by either searching on YouTube for Indian Nation Station, or you can go to the Piqua Indians Athletic website at piquaathletics.com, and you can get the link there at the top, amongst all of the other athletic events that are taped there by the Indian Nation Station. For Debo and Cohen, I'm your host, Chip Hare. We'll see you next week on the Bill Nice's Coaches Show, brought to you by Lumpkins, Dick Lumpkins Auto Body.